Chilly morning. Dogs need to go potty, but they force me to get up. Wait and see this. Have not seen a sunrise like this for a while. What's the plan, honey?
Huh?
What's the plan?
Just running this across so they can have some of the grass grow back on this side, and then we'll open it up because, like I said, they're going to kill the grass eventually.
Yes, these chickens
So,
are, what, 16 chickens?
yep.
Have eaten up the grass and weeds and turned everything in their section over here pretty quickly. I'm pretty impressed. There wasn't much grass over in that section, but the other part over here quickly got turned over, so we're gonna corner it off and let the grass kind of regrow. And then eventually we might install another little chicken door to go to this back field that the goats were in. But see the big difference there. I have to look at doing a mobile coop. Hey everyone, Leslie with Cooper's Pacific Northwest Homestead. Just wanted to sit down and kind of do a 2021 end of year recap, and then also a brief 2022 sort of goals, my goals I guess, or things that I've talked to Corey about that we want to do around the homestead. I'm gonna try and film this before the dogs start barking or my cuckoo clock starts chiming here in a few minutes, so trying to fit it in. So a few things that I just wanted to note from 2021, wrote them down here. January 29th is when we got the keys to our new house. And you can kind of look back in the older videos. We did do sort of the mini tours of the house and also of the property. So those are out there. In February, we received our housewarming gift from my awesome sister-in-law, Michelle. So we had received a bunch of chicks. And that was in February. And then in April, we moved those chicks out to a new coop that we had installed on the property, since the current ones were a little bit rickety. And since we had so many new chicks, we wanted to have like a fresh new large coop. So we had that put in. In May, or towards the end of May, we got 3 goats from Corey's friend who was downsizing. So they're, I think, an Alpine La Mancha mix. So we have the 3 goats that arrived in May. In June, we got our first eggs from the chicks that we received. I think before that, we did take on a couple of banties that were left here, and the little banty hen had laid eggs before that, but from our chicks that we had raised, June 9th was the first eggs. And then just recently I posted sort of the end of year egg donation. And so for 2021, from June to the end of December, we had donated to friends and family a total of 123 dozen eggs. So that was super exciting, and we're looking for many more to donate this year. So those were just a few things I wanted to highlight from the year 2021 here on the homestead, our first year on the property. And then a few things in 2022, I started writing down a couple things that, you know, I'd like to tackle, and broke it up between livestock and the garden. And as far as the livestock kind of goals is, there goes the cuckoo clock, fencing. That's a big thing. So I'll try to insert clips or pictures of what I'm talking about, but our fencing is a little bit hodgepodge, and I don't feel as secure with the type of fencing with the size of goats that we have. They have gotten out a few times. We haven't had an issue in a while, but still I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the type of fencing that we have, and I would like to get additional goats or sheep or something in the future. So, you know, working on fencing is a constant thing on homesteads, farms, things like that. Another thing that I noted down was the extra coops that were left where the chickens are. We need to kind of address those. They're sort of in different stages of shape, and some of them have like insulation that the previous owners did, I don't know, some kind of styrofoam packaging, and the chickens have actually started pecking at those, and so we've kind of blocked them off, but we just need to get them out of there and remove that styrofoam or figure out what we're going to do with those hodgepodge of extra coops. I also wrote down goat rock pile and brush pole. So we do have some concrete slabs that were left over from when we had the new driveway installed. And so I think we want to be able to bring those into the fields because the goats really do like standing on those. And I've heard it's good for their hooves to help keep them manageable as well. So just kind of finding a place and figuring out how to move those into their pen, the goat rock pile. And then a brush pole. So right now they tend to like to lean and scrape against the chicken fencing that we have when they start getting, shedding and all their moving from their winter to their spring, summer coats. And when they're all extra itchy, they've been using that in the fence. And so need to figure out a better brush pole system for them so they're not damaging the fences even more. And then patching barn leaks. So the barn with all the stalls that the goats are in, there are a few holes and we have some leaks. And so kind of patching that up would be a good idea. And I'm sure Corey might have a few other things on his list as well, but those were just the few that I jotted down. In terms of the garden, expanding the planting and growing. So last year I did purchase a few kind of raised garden beds just to get going before, trying to figure out like a market row kind of system. So that's going to be, I think, a big thing for me is just planting more. I really want to be able to bump up the winter crops. So I've noticed now that the goats and chickens, we've had them and it's winter, there's not much for them to eat. And so I'd love to be able to pull things from the garden and be able to give it to them throughout the winter. So like Swiss chard and kale and things like that. I also want to convert a shed that we have in the front field where I'm planning on doing most of my gardening to my kind of garden storage shed. So all my tools, so they're not in the garage or the barn, but they're closer to where I'm going to be working most of the time. And I did film a little clip of that, and so I'll make sure to put that in. And then constructing a trellis tunnel. So out in the garden where I'm going to have the market rows, I'd really like to kind of get Corey's help and build some kind of trellis tunnels so that with the beans, gourds, cucumbers, things like that can grow over it and be able to walk underneath. So that's a few of the things I wrote down. I'm sure there's like more items that I just didn't jot down. I'd love to have kind of like a pumpkin patch so that my nieces and nephews can come over and get their own pumpkins. Bring in, a good load of dirt to top that off with, kind of improve the composting system. And then of course, with it being winter right now, everyone is probably getting the same kind of itch to go outside and plant and garden, right? Just craving that nicer weather to do that. I did get a couple of catalogs, which I'm just a sucker for, the seeds catalog. So the Burpee seed catalog, which is huge. And then this one, which is gorgeous, the Baker Creek. It came to the previous owner and I had never seen this catalog before, but it is awesome. So if you Google Baker Creek, I think the website might be like Rare Seeds actually, but they had a bunch of stuff that was awesome. So I've ordered, quite a few seed packets from both of those. And I've been trying to go through and organize my seeds. I have, of course, right? Everyone uses these things, the Asian Tupperware, these containers for multiple purposes. But I started kind of making piles of what I want to do. So I have like my flowers, that kind of pile there. And then I have all my new stuff that I've kind of ordered. So I've got a lot of like eggplant, peas, corn. Most of the seeds I focused on were edibles. So I didn't do sunflowers and pumpkins since I still have a lot of seeds from last year, because that was sort of my big vision was I wanted to have the pumpkin patch last year. So I bought a bunch of pumpkins and gourds and squash. And then I ordered a bunch of different varieties of sunflowers because I wanted to have like a row of sunflowers greet you as you're driving down the lane. And I just, haven't had time to kind of put that into place and still getting to know the land and kind of the wet spots and the infrastructure and things like that. So it'll probably be downsized this year as we're still kind of testing and learning. So I have a bunch of seeds, and I started Googling also kind of the what to plant when in this growing zone. So zone 8 is where we are located, with sort of the, start indoors when you can transplant or plant outdoors. So it was kind of handy to see that visually instead of writing it down or putting it on a calendar for me. So I'll have this, and I also did kind of another sheet that's kind of color coded there. So I'll be looking at those, and I think probably the earliest I'll be starting some seeds indoors is February, for some of the things like the Swiss chard and tomatoes, some of those cooler crops that can, or the ones that you need to start early on. I also have a pile of seeds. I really went through and started pulling out seeds that just didn't do that great for me. Like, I need to quit wasting my time on these seeds that I'm just not good at growing. And one of those is broccoli. I just cannot get broccoli to grow, and a few other things that the germination and stuff. So I have this kind of set aside and pulled out. If I want to try and maybe play with it, then they're there, but I'm not going to focus a lot of time and energy on those seeds that just haven't produced for me that well. I have a bunch of seeds that I've saved from previous kind of growing. Like, I have these really pretty kind of purple beans that I think these are the Scarlet Runner beans. So I don't really eat them, but they have these gorgeous red flowers. So I have plenty of seeds of those. And then other seeds too that did well for me, like spinach and arugula, Swiss chard. So that is the plan, is just, I'm looking forward to starting a bunch of seeds and filling up those market rows and just really kind of expanding the growing the produce this year. Ooh, a little dusty thing. Anyways, that is my quick kind of recap in 2022 and plan for growing a lot more produce. So you guys will see those videos coming up soon. Thanks. Bye. All right. Since it's sunny, I want to take a moment to kind of document and show this little stall that I have located in the front field where I'm planning on doing all the kind of garden stuff. And so the plan for 2022 is to convert or kind of update this stall into my sort of potting shed, or where all my garden tools and soil is going to be located, so that it's easy for me to access. I think out here in the front, what I want to do is I'd like to put wood chips or crushed gravel. It's not really grass, it's kind of funny weeds because it doesn't get a lot of great sunlight. And then along the wall, I'm thinking probably a potting table, and might do some kind of raised container on the side. I think also Corey was talking about we might install some solar lights, so kind of punching some holes through there and facing the solar lights inside so that I can have a bit of light inside. There's a window back there, so we might open that up, and then I have these cool antique windows from my parents' place, so might try to see if we can retrofit one of those to place there. So you can see the floor. I think what we might do is scrape out kind of any of the manure and droppings, pull out those rubber mats. I think again we might have a load of some crushed gravel brought in, try and even it out, and then put those rubber mats back on for the flooring. And then on the sides, probably try to figure out some kind of hook or shelving for all the shovels, things like that. Kind of step in here. You can see it gets pretty dark, but if we do install some solar lights up top, that might help a bit. And then it's just kind of easy access to the garden beds. And again, I'll probably bring in a load of good dirt to kind of top off the area right there where I laid down cardboard and then a bunch of manure and wood chips, and it's been composting all winter. And then I have lots of excess. So that's sort of the plan for this shed, or stall, soon to be shed.